Howdy everybody, doing a different kind of video today. I'm halfway to enough subscribers for monetization, and I decided I would like to talk about things from a slightly different angle than normal. I don't talk about myself much, I don't like to, I want to teach. But as I've gotten a little older and a little sicker, I've realized a lot of people who are like me, chronic illnesses, think they can't do this. They think that, oh, farmers are the toughest folks out there, and they really are. Like, I'm told constantly I'm an incredibly tough person, but compared to farmers, I'm weak. So, I always hear people say stuff like, oh, I couldn't possibly do what you do, or I couldn't start what you do. The real struggle in my mind is land. But through guerrilla gardening and things like that, which is not my expertise, but through things like that, you can go a lot further than you think. Start learning the skills. But the point of this video is going to be, what are my problems? What makes me so sick all the time? And if I'm as sick as I am and have all the problems I do, why can't you? I don't mean that in a demeaning way, but in a energizing way, in a positive way. And I figure I'd yammer on for a bit looking at this beautiful wild rose. I'll probably do this part as an intro or a short, and we'll do the whole video from here, something like that. But I'm going to stand up now because this native rose is near the floor. We're going to go on a walk. I like to do walks for many reasons. One of the biggest being mosquitoes actually find you the longer you're in one place. So if I start walking, I get less bites. So we'll start moving along. And I'll zoom out because I know it makes people motion sick. Look at that beautiful asparagus. But, so my health. Getting on to that real topic. So, I suppose I should start off sort of in order as I've realized my problems, or as they've come to the surface. I have a very high pain tolerance. And to the average person, well, that's a great thing. And it has its perks, without a doubt, but I have such a high pain tolerance, I can't tell when I'm dying. And that's not an exaggeration. When I was young, barely in the double digits, I had appendicitis, which I described to my family as a stomach ache. Well, many adults are bedridden from the pain of appendicitis. So the fact that I said I had a stomach ache, and I laid in bed for a couple days. I think about a week in, I got bored of laying in bed. Didn't care how bad it hurt. I went back to hiking around the woods, going swimming. I just did it slower. And as time went on, I never got better. But I had become so adjusted to that high level of pain, I didn't recognize it was getting worse. And so after probably a few months of minor appendicitis, building and building and building, my appendix burst. And I still didn't know that there was something wrong. A burst appendix can kill you sometimes within 6 hours, but usually within 24. If you don't seek medical attention, you won't make it. That's just a reality of how dangerous appendicitis is. I had it for around 2 weeks, they estimate. When I got the scans of my stomach to see what was going on, they kind of were saying stuff like, oh, we think he's got appendicitis. We'll let you know when we've taken a good look at the scans, and we'll get you an appointment. Which is about the time that they ran out, sent us home. They ran out and grabbed us and said that I should have died at least a week ago at absolute earliest or absolute latest. They're not sure how I'm alive, much less mobile, and that they need to take me in for an operation in the emergency room, and that they would call ahead. So that was my first surgery, my first major instance of my poor health. Beautiful mulberry. So that led to me losing most of my large intestine. It was a pretty big surgery. I have a scar from pretty much the bottom of my ribs to the top of my belt. But I'm alive. I have a sensitive stomach, but I'm alive. And on top of all this, something that we only realized well into my adulthood is I've had autoimmune diseases, we've found out. Rheumatoid arthritis. Found that out quite recently overall. So what that essentially means is I have such a powerful immune system that when it runs out of a fight to have, it decides that it's going to attack my joints and start dissolving and breaking down my joints. I'm going to show something a little bit gross here, but if you take a good look at my hand, notice how especially my pointer finger is rotated inward. It is going to keep doing that. Don't worry, that's just berry juice. But it's going to keep rotating as the joints get broken down. So, my whole life I've been called a complainer because I was always in pain. Well, I was always in pain because my body was destroying itself. So, those are the two biggest health issues I still have to deal with. My stomach is incredibly sensitive and has flare-ups of poor health, and that can put me out of the action. And I have RA, and that can put me out of the action. So, I have health problems. No way around it. Suppose I should also mention that I have worked a terrible, terrible job out in Arizona, where knowingly they knew I had problems with heat. They promised me eventually they'd give me a job in the coolers, and it never happened. So they forced me to work 10+ hour days, 5 days a week, no breaks, no lunches allowed. Found out later that was illegal. In the heat, in the Arizona heat. And I just got sicker and sicker. And for anybody who knows about heat stroke, every time you get it, you're more susceptible to get it again. And it just tore me up over time. My body is weak to being out in the sun, so I can't be out during the heat of the day no matter how determined I am. I get sick if I'm out in the 90-degree weather this summer's out here. So I have to get done what I can when I can. I'm not saying all this to make excuses or to complain about my life and my health. I'm saying all this because for anyone out there who thinks they can't do this, I mean, all these trees I've walked past, this is supposed to be my long-term profit plan. The chestnuts and the hazelnuts, they're going to be my big cash crop by what I've hopefully calculated accurately enough. And then the rest of it's going to be to feed my family and maybe sell things here and there. So, overall, I've done all this without power tools, aside from the mower. And I'm lucky I get help from my dad, he mows. But I do all the planting. I go ahead and dig the hole with a shovel in spring, early spring, dig every single hole by hand, plant every single tree. And because I'm broke too, I don't have good income, I baby the hell out of these trees when I put them in the ground. I apologize for cursing. I don't just dig a hole and stick them in and let the roots get all folded over. I dig as deep as it takes. I'll go back and re-dig if I have to. And if I have a root that goes off to one side, I'll dig a valley so that I can stretch that root out. I do anything and everything to make these trees as comfortable in the roots as possible so they have a strong root system when they start growing. So I baby these trees and I put in that extra work. That's, I think, why I like trees more than most gardeners. Most gardeners really love vegetables. Vegetables need so much more care, but you get so much more in the short term. I just get sick too often. When I show off my annual gardens, well, I didn't even get to show any last year because I didn't get them tilled until it was too late. So I didn't till last year. But now they're all weedy messes because I've been too sick to upkeep. And that's just how it is for me a lot of the time. But the trees need a lot less upkeep once they're started. So part of it, I guess, is growing in a way that suits your body and your body's problems and conditions. But regardless of that, it's mainly just you have to believe you can do it. You know, you can't go out here and believe that you're too weak for this, or that you can't make things happen. You might not be doing things the most efficiently, you might not be the best there is at them, but you can do this. I mean, I wouldn't have to plant this many for my own family. This is just because I'm trying to make money at it. But if all you're trying to do is put food on the table, you don't need this much. Not by any means. You can do this on a small scale. If I can do this, you can do this. Maybe if you can't get on the ground, I mean, I understand that my disabilities are much lesser than some other people's. But, get help planting them in the ground. There's ways that you can work through some things. Work together with people. Find ways to help each other out. There's a way. If there's a will, there's a way. You can do this. Look at all those beautiful potato plants surrounding this chestnut bee balm. I bet if we pull these back, you can kind of see the ground is rising up around them. It means there's potatoes forming under that mulch. But yeah, we'll keep walking along, keep talking, but you can do this. That's what this video is all about. You can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. For the surgery on my stomach, they told me that if I wasn't little, if I wasn't a kid, I without a doubt should have a colonostomy bag. I got really lucky there. So I really am not a healthy person, but I've gotten here. And if I've gotten here, you can get here. Maybe not in your own yard, maybe not at first at least, but to anyone watching, I want you to know, I want you to believe that what I'm doing is possible. It's possible for me, it's possible for you. So maybe not this year, maybe you're not ready. Analysis paralysis gets us all when we start worrying too much about whether we can do this or do that. But if nothing else, you have until next spring. You have all winter to plan it out. Get serious about it. Have a plan by spring. I usually draw up these goofy little designs on cardboard. I look at my house on Google Maps and jot out major landmarks and things like that on cardboard, and then put dots all over that cardboard where I want to plant things. And I make a plan, and then I budget. I make a budget for what those plants will cost. Make a plan. Don't let the plan hold you back. Don't become so stuck to the plan that it inhibits you. But you can do this. You can make a plan and you can do this. Okay? So I hope that motivates somebody or some of you. I hope it didn't just seem like I did this to complain about my life or my health, and I hope it didn't come off as me trying to excuse why I am behind on orders now and then. And I'm not trying to make up for my flaws, but I just want other people to know that they can do whatever they put their mind to. Not just gardening, but my lens is through gardening. You can do it. So get out there and do it. I believe in you, and I know you can do it. Have a good one, everybody.